In his passion for serving and protecting people, an ordinary security guard saved a woman, but he suddenly gained an extraordinary power. One night, while Zion was resting in a room of the building where he worked, the electricity suddenly went out. His colleague, named Lex, immediately ordered him to check the circuit on the rooftop. Since he was a new employee, he could not complain, so he followed his orders. Little did they know that a female cultivator, named Musi, was currently on the rooftop to conduct a cultivation. When Zion reached the door to the rooftop, he was surprised that someone had broken the doorknob, so he thought that a thief had entered the building. Hoping to catch the culprit, he quickly went out and saw Musi, who was already floating in the air. This surprised Musi, causing her to lose focus and got struck by lightning. When she fell, she immediately lost consciousness, so he thought of doing mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. When he did this, they were suddenly surrounded by light, and Musi dreamed of his mother, who immediately disappeared. When Zion opened his eyes, Musi was already awake, so she immediately slapped him. He quickly explained that he just wanted to save her, but she still could not forgive him because that was her first kiss. So Musi slapped him again and then she left. Musi was still calm because she was thinking that Zion did not see the heavenly tribulation. After a few moments, she suddenly felt as if she was returning to her previous level. While Zion also had a strange feeling in his body. The next day, he noticed that his body was in good condition and his eyesight was clearer. He saw Musi and her suitor, named Jiro, who waited to invite her to watch a movie, but she refused. Suddenly, an eye appeared not far from him because it sensed that he was a new cultivator and it wanted to see his ability. For this reason, it tried to drop the billboard which was on top of a building. When it fell, Zion immediately noticed it, so he quickly took action to save the girl. Because of this, he was able to release his power and successfully save the girl. But just a few moments later, he suddenly collapsed and lost consciousness. Musi found out what happened to him, so HSE also immediately went there. When he woke up, realized that he was in a hotel room and facing Musi. At that moment, Musi told him that she just wanted to take back what was hers. Since he could not remember that he had taken anything from Musi, she reminded him how he saved her the other night. She added that she did this because he had used the power earlier, and she also informed him that she was a cultivator. Since he did not believe her, she got angry at him. And now that he already knew her secret, she asked him to choose whether he would be killed, or he would accompany her to cultivate, so that both of them could be immortal. In that situation, he could not do anything else, but go with her. She took him to the rooftop of the building, and when they got there, she told him that if he wanted to get stronger, he had to jump from it. Musi explained that every time a person's death was near, that was the moment when his true abilities usually come out. She added that even if he chose not to jump, other cultivators would definitely kill him because he was weak, so it would be better if he just jump. When he moved back at the edge, Musi pushed him. He tried to use his power, but he failed to release it, and this caused him to panic. But when he was near the bottom, he saw Musi approaching him. After she hugged him, he released his wings, and they were able to return to the top. Musi could not believe what he had done, but when she was taken aback by what he said, she suddenly pushed him towards the building. Then she warned him not to expose himself too much, because if other cultivators found out about him, they would surely come and would try to kill him. Meanwhile, a cultivator, named Samu, sensed Zion's spiritual energy, and he also noticed that Zion immediately reached Juji level in just half a day. Because of this, he ordered his student, named Ryui, to test how strong Zion was, and if Zion was weak, he told her to just kill him. When Zion and Musi were about to go home, they saw Jiro waiting outside. He intended to ask Musi to watch a movie again, but Musi refused because she and Zion had just came from the hotel, and she was still tired. After hearing this, Jiro got very angry and was about to punch Zion, but Musi immediately slapped him. Then she told him that she was the only one who could touch Zion. One day, while Zion and Musi were having a snack, Musi could not believe that he was still using an old cell phone, so she gave him a smartphone. At that moment, Zion asked Musi why she did not kill him, even though she was a strong cultivator like the others. Musi answered that it was because he absorbed a lot of her spiritual energy, and if he dies, she would also disappear. She added that only their family had a unique way of passing it on. Ryui began to find Zion, and she preyed on mortals first. The next morning, she went directly to the place where the presence of Zion's spiritual energy was detected. In order for her to track Zion faster, she decided to use what she called WeChat booty call, and she accompanied it with her dancing seduction technique. She immediately started her search, but almost all the men she talked to were without spiritual energy, so she just beat them up in her anger. She was wondering why the dancing seduction did not work on the person that she was looking for, so she thought that maybe he wanted something else. Based on her observation, she decided to change the target of the dancing seduction, but the one that took her bait was Lex. Lex immediately left their room to meet Ryui. Since Zion was worried about him, he decided to follow Lex. When Lex came to the place where Ryui was waiting, she immediately looked at his spiritual energy, but it was the same as the others that she talked to. Lex still continued to follow her that she got annoyed and punched him. Zion was able to save him, and when Ryui saw him, she was thrilled. After Zion realized that Lex had a different view of him, he let him go and ran away from him. When he was far away, Ryui suddenly attacked him and she followed it by the dancing seduction. Because of this, he became submissive to her wishes and she sent him to the rooftop of a building. As they got to the top, Ryui used spirit restrictions so that other cultivators could not detect their spiritual energy. Zion suddenly wanted to kiss Ryui, so she punched him. Since Ryui disliked what he did, she removed the power of the dancing seduction on him. When he came back to his senses, it was here that Ryui decided to kill him. Zion also realized that she was also a cultivator, and he remembered what Musi said, that other cultivators would kill the new cultivators. To escape from this situation, he tried to deceive Ryui, but she easily caught up with him. She grabbed his pants, but Ryui did not expect that it would come off. She was so annoyed at him that she attacked him, but someone suddenly came to block it, and it turned out to be Musi's doing. She reprimanded Zion, so he immediately put on his pants. Then she asked him to kneel on the keyboard that she brought. Because Zion absorbed Musi's spiritual energy, Ryui could feel that Musi's cultivation level was too low. In order for Ryui not to know what Musi was planning, she talked to Zion using telepathy. She reminded him again of what she had taught him about the different levels of cultivation. But Ryui found out that they were using telepathy, so she suddenly attacked them. Musi knew that in her current state, she would not be able to defeat her since it was in the late stage of Foundation establishment. After they exchanged their attacks with their respective spirit weapons, Musi had an opportunity to use one of her techniques. Then she immediately told Zion to leave the building. Their battle continued, but this time, it was Musi who was defeated by Ryui. Musi could not avoid it, causing Ryui to beat her. When Ryui attacked again, Musi tried to block it with her defense restriction. Zion stopped running because he knew that Musi might not be able to handle Ryui's strength. On the other hand, Samu once again preyed on mortals for his cultivation. He also had a plan to taste Ryui's blood, and he was just waiting for her to finish her mission. Musi was unable to stop Ryui's attack, and when the enemy was about to kill her, Zion suddenly came to block the attack. When Musi opened her eyes, she was immediately moved to tears when she saw Zion's condition. Then she remembered the day when her mother told her about the characteristics of a man that she should marry. Ryui suddenly kicked Zion, and when Musi approached him, Ryui also kicked her. This was when Zion lost his consciousness, and when he opened his eyes, he immediately thought that he was in the afterlife. He saw a man who introduced himself as Xian. Then he took out a dark sky spirit weapon, and Zion recognized it immediately. Xian could feel that Zion did not have the blood of the Li clan, so he thought that he was the cultivation partner of one of the family's descendants. Musi's ancestor once told him this information, so he thought of introducing himself as Musi's husband to see what could be Xian's reaction. Because of what he did, Xian gave him the Han Tian beads that could help him in his fights. Before Xian left, he told Zion that his strength would return when he came back to reality. Here he suddenly released a very strong power, causing Ryui to be thrown away. Ryui could not believe what she was seeing in Zion, and she could also feel his very strong spiritual power. In this situation, she knew that she could not beat him at her current level. She also had a suspicion that Zion might be stronger than her master. Ryui tried to attack, but Zion just blocked it with one finger, and he also destroyed her magic weapon. At that moment, she lost the will to live, and chose to end her own life. but she was surprised when Zion caught her and brought her back to the rooftop. After what Zion did, she got angry and immediately left. Musi immediately asked Zion about the power that he just showed. Zion did not want to say it, so he just lied, but Musi found out that he was hiding something. She took him to a room to question him again, but he still did not tell the truth. Musi was still thinking the reason why he was able to absorb her power, and this was still a mystery. Because of this, Musi was forced to tie him up and carry out the co-cultivation of the Li clan. Through this technique, they both ended up in each other's past. When Zion got in an unfamiliar place, he saw a big door. He approached it, and when he touched the keyhole, there was a light that came out, and he went to a place where he saw Musi as a child. But after a while, they suddenly fell into a black hole. Meanwhile, Musi saw a big energy ball shining inside Zion's spiritual world. After she touched it, she went to the night when a man killed almost the entire members of their family. Zion also fell into this period, and when he heard a woman's voice, he immediately went to her. He also saw the man who was looking for the dark sky, so he witnessed how this man killed Musi's mother. It was only then that he realized how complicated Musi's past was. Musi told the story of what happened that night, and she also showed the dark sky that the man who attacked them wanted to take. When Zion asked her if they could defeat this man, Musi said that they could not do it yet. So Zion promised his full support to Musi. While he was on his way home, he remembered the Han Tian beads, and only then he realized that it was no longer in his pocket. When he entered their room, he was surprised to see Ryui waiting for him. She introduced herself to Lex as his fiancée. Ryui asked him for a favor if she could sleep there for the meantime, because she had nowhere else to go. Because of this, Zion had a problem where he would sleep, so Lex told him that they could sleep next to each other. He immediately rejected it and preferred to sleep on the floor. The next day, Ryui's suitors were still lined up after they got affected by her dancing seduction. Jiro came to see Musi, and after a while, Musi came out of the building. Jiro wanted to ask Musi out on a date, but she suggested that he should try to court Ryui. But Ryui informed them that the only one she wanted was Zion, who was also approaching them. Musi immediately greeted Zion and invited him to watch a movie. Ryui did not let the two go alone, so she invited Zion to watch too. When they got to the movie theater, the two girls keep fighting over Zion. One day, Zion thought of giving Musi a gift because he was worried that she might be upset on what Ryui was doing. But a group of men that Jiro had paid to beat him up were waiting for him. When they were about to start to attack him, Zion managed to trick them and he quickly ran away. But he suddenly dropped the gift that he was carrying and saw Ryui and Musi ahead of the road. When they saw that some men were chasing Zion, the girls quickly charged to these men to protect him. After a few minutes, those who were paid by Jiro were beaten up, and Jiro was so upset of what happened. When Ryui saw that Zion gave Musi a gift, she felt sad and decided to leave. At that moment, Samu was at the top of a building and was worried that Ryui might fail on her mission. When Zion and Musi were on their way home, they saw Ryui ahead of them. Zion could see himself in Ryui when he was always alone before. Because of this, he asked permission from Musi if he could approach Ryui. Musi agreed, so he immediately went to Ryui and asked her if they could be friends. But Ryui was just angry at him, then she mentioned that if she had gotten too strong the night they fought, her mission would have been over. She also thought that Musi had just ordered him to do it in order to make her mad, but Zion said that he once went to Musi's spiritual world, and both of them went through difficult times in their lives. At night, Samu disturbed two students in a room. The man was very angry at what he did, but Samu just killed both of them. Samu did not expect that he would be able to complete the fiend art. When Ryui returned to report to Samu, she saw him carrying the two students. She told him what happened the other night and why she failed to kill Zion. Samu did not think too much about it, then he told Ryui that once he drank the blood of the two students, he would surely reach the middle stage of core formation, and this surprised Ryui. For the meantime, he only assigned Ryui to continue spying on Zion and Musi. Ryui could not believe that her master would soon be able to complete the fiend art. She knew that if this happened, he would not only kill Zion and Musi, but also herself. He met with Zion, and when he arrived at the place, she attacked him repeatedly, causing Zion to wonder why she was doing it to him. She wanted Zion to release his true spiritual power, but Zion refused to do it and said that he would not fight with a friend. Ryui suddenly attacked him, but since Zion still resisted, she stopped her attacks. When Ryui cried, Zion said that he would only use his spiritual power to protect his loved ones. When Ryui heard this, she suddenly remembered someone who was like him. And a few moments later, Muse also appeared, who had been watching them for a while. It was here that Ryui told them what her master was planning, since he felt the presence of Zion's power. Zion immediately realized that Ryui was sent by her master to test his power. Muse immediately thought about their current situation, and Ryui added that her master would soon reach the middle stage of its core formation. And if this happened, they could definitely do nothing against him. Samu was very satisfied on the rapid progress of his cultivation, and he could not wait to drink the blood of Zion and Muse. Muse told Ryui that in modern cultivation, the good relationship between a teacher and his student no longer exists. Zion suddenly asked how Ryui and her master met, so she told them the story. A few years ago, when she was still living with her parents, she was always being bullied by some children in their village. It turned out that she had a friend who was a snake spirit, and her friend lived in a cave which was located near them. Ryui visited her almost every day to bring her food. She was also her only friend and the one who played with her. Since they were having fun together, she thought that they would be friends forever. One day, while she was on her way to the cave to bring food to the snake spirit, an old man told her that it would be better if she stayed away from this monster, otherwise, she might lose her loved ones. She did not believe him, and when she entered the cave, she was surprised that her friend was no longer there. She suddenly heard a gunshot, so she hurried back to the village. It turned out that the snake spirit was currently attacking their village. When she got there, she immediately looked for her parents, and after a while, she saw them lying lifeless on the ground. To avenge their death, she went to the cave to face her friend. Samu came out from it, and he told her that she should not die, because she was the only survivor of their village. He gave her a special weapon, called Leaf Fire, which she could use to defeat the snake spirit. She did not hesitate to accept it, and she continued her search on the snake spirit. She saw that it was already injured and lying on the ground, but after a moment, the snake spirit got up. She suddenly approached Ryui, so she immediately stabbed her with the leaf fire. But she was surprised that she was just trying to treat the wound on her head. After a few moments, the snake spirit fell on her and lost her life, and this made Ryui very sad. As she was leaving the forest, she saw Samu floating. She immediately thought that he was an immortal, so she asked for his help to save her parents and her fellow villagers. But according to Samu, it was against the rules of heaven to revive the dead. Since she did not know what she was going to do with her life, Samu offered her to be his student and accompany him in his cultivation. She accepted it, and this was when Ryui became his apprentice. But after a few years, she was surprised to discover that her master was using the bloodthirsty fiend art to raise his cultivation at its higher level. And she also noticed that he looked at her differently, as if he desired to make her his next victim. From what Ryui said, Muse immediately realized that if Samu could drink their blood, he would reach the late stage of the core formation. Even if they still have spirit weapons, they still could not defeat him. But Ryui said that as long as her master had not finished the fiend art, they still had a chance of defeating him. She added that she knew the weakness of her master's fiend art, and they just needed him to fall into the trap that they would need to prepare. When they went home, Muse told Zion about the energy ball that illuminated in his spiritual world when they were cultivating. She could feel that the energy in this ball was similar to their clan, but it was different from the spiritual energy that Zion absorbed from her. It possessed a strong power that she had never seen before. And if Zion could use it correctly, there was a high possibility that they could defeat Samu. Zion asked her how he could release this power, so Muse said that he had to use his blood so that they could form a contract with his spirit weapon. But Muse hesitated to release this power. She knew that it was also dangerous, and there was a possibility that it could control Zion. Despite this, Zion was sure that he wanted to use this power. So Muse did not waste any time, and she immediately started releasing Zion's spirit weapon. After a few moments, Zion's spirit weapon appeared before them. They did not expect that it was a woman, and Muse felt that she had a very high cultivation level. But according to Zion's spirit weapon, even though she had a high cultivation level and Zion wanted to use her full power, he still needed to be at the Ascendant Soul level. And at Zion's current level, it would only last a little while, so she suddenly disappeared. A few hours later, while Musi was sleeping, Zion tried to release his spiritual power again. But he could not do it, and he suddenly heard her voice saying that if he wanted to summon her, he had to concentrate. The next day, while he was walking outside, Jiro met him. He intended to eliminate Zion to get Musi, and this time, he brought 2 cultivators with him. When they attacked Zion, Musi and Ryui suddenly came to block their attacks. When they brought out the dark sky and leaf fire, their opponents were amazed because they were weapon hunters. When Ryui attacked, their opponent created a defensive technique so that they would both be bound and unable to move. When the man attacked Zion, he was able to avoid it, but it was immediately followed by the woman's attack that hit him and caused him to fall. The man was about to kill him, but Zion suddenly released his spirit weapon. Due to the strength of his spirit weapon, the 2 opponents could no longer fight him. The girl tried to run away, but Musi immediately blocked and slapped her. The 2 could do nothing but kneel down and beg for forgiveness. After what Jiro witnessed, he got scared and quickly left the area. Little did they know that Samu was just watching them, and he was happy of what he saw. Ryui could not believe that Zion acquired his spirit weapon in just one night. So she remembered the night when the 2 of them fought. But since Xian told Zion not to tell anyone that the 2 of them met, and also about the Hantian beads, he also lied to Ryui. Ryui asked the name of Zion's spirit weapon, but they found out that she had no name. Because of this, Zion thought of giving her a name and call her Rin. Ryui said goodbye and told them that she would train first, and so did Musi. When they left, Zion also decided to strengthen his cultivation level with the help of Rin. Rin opened a portal to another dimension, and they entered it. Rin told him that they were in the world inside the Hantian beads. She also shared to Zion about how Xian created her as her first master and why her cultivation level was so high. But she said again that in order to use her full power, Zion must reach the early stage of the Ascendant Soul. Zion remembered something and told her about a problem that confused him. He did not understand why he was still weak even though his spiritual energy was stronger than Musi's. In order for him to know the reason better, Rin also explained it to him. This was because his spiritual energy came from another person, and because he did not get it through his own cultivation, that's why he did not know how to use it. But Rin had thought of a solution, so Zion could use it. She asked him to take off his t-shirt and asked him to sit down. Then Rin started to perform what she knew to solve the problem. After this, Zion immediately felt the change in his spiritual energy. But Rin told him that it would take 5 to 10 years of cultivation in order for him to completely master the use of his spiritual energy. Since Zion could not wait that long, Rin thought of another way. But she warned him that he would feel a lot of pain if they continue. Zion told her that there was no problem on this, so they immediately started this process. A few seconds after Rin started, Zion immediately felt a lot of pain. In order for him to have courage, he thought that what Musi and Ryui went through were more painful compared to the pain that he was currently experiencing. Meanwhile, they had no idea that there was a tree spirit spying on them. When they finished, the tree spirit suddenly attacked them, but Zion got ahead of it and immediately defeated it. He asked why there was a tree spirit there, and Rin simply said that although she had been staying there for a long time, she still did not know all the secrets of the Hantian beads. Musi suddenly called Zion, and he was surprised that there was also a signal in this area. She took him to an adult product shop that was also a covert cultivation shop. When they entered, Musi showed to the receptionist her golden diamond card so she could talk to the head of the shop. She was immediately given the permission to pass, and since only the owner of the golden diamond card could enter, she gave Zion a low-level spirit stone that he could use in the shop. Since Zion did not know the use of spirit stone, Rin told him that it was the currency used in the cultivation world. The female guard thought that she could easily fool Zion because he had no idea in their world. She took Zion to a room where magical treasures were kept. When Zion saw a cloak, he immediately liked it, but the woman said that it was worth 500 low-level spirit stones. Unfortunately, he only had 50 low-level spirit stones, so Zion decided not to buy the cape and return the spirit stones to Musi. The woman quickly thought of a way and told Zion that he should bet it on the gamble stone, and through this, he might have a chance to get a high-value magical weapon. Since Zion was interested on this, he agreed to the woman's offer. After the head of the shop, named Maisie, confirmed that Musi was holding a real VIP card of their shop, Musi immediately told him that she needed the most value magical treasure of the shop. But Maisie replied that in exchange for this, they also had to take back this card, and Musi agreed to this. Since the employee of the shop could not believe that they would sell the treasure to Musi, Maisie told him that the head office ordered them to close the night branch offices within 3 days, and that the branch magical treasure was no longer important. When the employee asked why the branches were being closed, Maisie said that it was because someone was coming, and it also had something to do with the Lee clan. On the other hand, Zion and Rin entered the room where the boxes were placed, so he asked Rin for help in which box they would choose. Zion looked at the other boxes, and he observed something in one of these that worried the woman. But he did not take it, and he still asked Rin about her choice. Rin chose an ordinary box, and the woman was happy because they were sure to make a lot of money from it. Zion touched it and thought that it might contain a beautiful treasure, even though it was just an ordinary box. When the woman opened it, they found a rusty dagger inside, which was called the Soul of Dragon Blood. When Zion's group left, the woman could not hide her joy because they made a lot of money from Zion. She quickly informed Maisie about it, and when Maisie found out that Zion got the Soul of Dragon Blood dagger, he was shocked because that dagger was very important. Meanwhile, Ryui went to Samu, and since she still had not yet completed her mission, Samu suspected her of doing something else. She immediately denied it, but Samu already knew that she was working with Zion and Musi, and were planning to defeat him. They had no idea that Samu was always watching every time the three of them met. Because of this, he started attacking Ryui, so she could do nothing but leave immediately. After Musi looked at the dagger that Zion got from the shop, Rin said that it was a sealed spirit weapon because a real dragon soul was locked in it. According to what she knew, after Xian defeated a red dragon, he sealed it in this dagger. Zion was very happy after hearing what Rin said, and he immediately thought of what might happen if he released the dragon to attack Samu. But Rin informed him that it might just cause trouble if they let the dragon out, and she also did not know how to release it. Though she was sure that there was a special technique to do it, she told Zion to try to infuse it with spirit energy, so they could see if it would work. When Zion tried it, he was able to use the separation body, that even Rin who had a high-level cultivation could not determine who was the real Zion. Because of this, Musi also noticed that Zion was using his spirit energy properly. Zion suddenly heard Ryui's voice, and she informed him that Samu already knew their plan. As he was about to leave to go see Ryui, Musi asked him if he was sure on what he was going to do. After he said that he was sure on his plan, she gave him the magical treasure that she got from the shop. While Samu continued to chase Ryui, he told her his plan since they first met. Samu knew that Ryui was what he needed to reach the late stage of core formation, so he made her an apprentice for 16 years. It only took a few moments for her to be surrounded by fire. When he was about to attack Ryui, Zion suddenly appeared and hit him with a strong punch. But Samu did not mind it and attacked them again, so Musi and Ryui tried to block it. Then they attacked him at the same time, but their attacks did not work because of the barrier made by Samu. After Zion used his flame fist, it was followed by Musi and Ryui's attacks, but those still had no effect on Samu. It was the moment that Zion decided to use his dagger. He and Samu both rushed at each other, and even though Samu had a barrier, Zion still managed to break it and injure him as well. When the two of them got down, Samu quickly rushed towards him, but he did not expect that Zion was able to transfer to his other body, causing him to attack and injure Samu again. Because of what Zion did, Musi remembered the dagger's ability. Apart from the fact that it was difficult to know which was the real Zion among the clones, the dagger had also the ability to move to the body that he wanted to control. Through this, Zion could avoid getting serious injuries in the fight. Samu immediately found out that the dagger was the reason for Zion's body separation, so he decided to use his fiend art. With this, Samu could absorb their spirit energy. At that situation, Zion decided to summon Rin to stop the fiend art. Then Rin also created a barrier and told Zion to leave the area while she was trying to stop Samu. Zion wanted to stay behind to help Rin, but she preferred that he would go with Musi and Ryui. So he thought that if they were in a safe place, he would take her back to his body. When Rin got back to him, they immediately went to the location where they had set the trap for Samu. As soon as Samu arrived, Ryui immediately activated the flame array to trap him there. Then they attacked Samu at the same time, but he still stopped them, so Ryui was surprised that the flame array did not work on him. Samu revealed that the weaknesses of the fiend art which he wrote were just fake. He knew that Ryui was reading it secretly, so what he wrote on the book was not true. Ryui immediately realized that the flame array was not a weakness of the fiend art, but it made Samu even stronger. So instead of setting a trap for Samu, they fell into their own trap. Because of this, Musi immediately told Zion and Ryui to run. Samu moved quickly to chase after them, so Zion summoned Rin out. Since Samu was having a hard time getting past Rin, he decided to tell Ryui the truth about what happened in their village. He said that in order to get the core of the snake spirit, he followed her to their village. But he did not think that he would discover something in this village. One day, while Ryui was defending herself against other children, he saw in Ryui that she had reached the late stage of chi condensation. He found out that Ryui's body had been self-cultivating since birth. For that reason, he immediately decided that he would take her to be his student. To get her to agree on his plan, he used magical grass to make the snake spirit lose her senses, causing her to attack the people in the village. And because he helped her to kill the snake spirit, that was the moment that he had the opportunity to make Ryui follow him. Aside from that, he also got the core of the snake spirit. Because of what Ryui heard, she fell to her knees in deep regret on what she had done to her friend. Then she quickly rushed to Samu to attack him. Samu blocked it easily, but he did not expect that Zion would also attack him with his dagger, causing him to be hit by it. Meanwhile, Jiro was currently riding a private plane and was not far from where the fight was. While Jiro was relaxing, they suddenly felt that the plane was shaking. A few moments later, they saw their pilot exited the plane and left them. So using the remaining parachute, they jumped out of the plane. After Musi felt the power of heaven's punishment, she decided to use the plane for her attack. Because of what Musi was doing, Samu thought that it might be the rare thunder spirit root, and he was lucky that it was still in the foundation establishment stage, otherwise, he might be forced to retreat. And since he was about to reach the late stage of core formation, he just retaliated with another attack. When the plane exploded, he immediately attacked Musi, so Zion quickly took action to save her. Because of this, Zion was also affected by Samu's next attack, causing the treasure which was given by Musi to be activated. Samu rushed again, so Zion used Dark Sky to attack that cut off one of Samu's hands. In Samu's anger, he decided to use his strongest technique, which he called blood absorptions. It gradually absorbed their blood and spirit energy, so Zion summoned Rin out again. But he immediately brought her back, so Samu was able to control his dagger. Then he suddenly sucked Musi and strangled her until she lost consciousness. Zion quickly attacked Samu, but was defeated by Samu's strength. He picked up the dagger, and this was when he used his strong power again. Since Samu was still absorbing his blood, he also noticed its effect on his body, so he decided to stop the blood absorptions. It turned out that he was already absorbing the dragon's blood. Ryui immediately took the opportunity to attack Samu, but he still defeated her. As Zion rushed to attack him, Samu controlled the giant rocks to stop him. But Zion was still able to overcome it, so Samu could not do anything to stop this attack. After this, Zion successfully defeated him, but before Samu was completely burned, he left a voice curse for his colleagues to avenge him. Ryui was happy because she was able to finally avenge his loved ones. When Zion approached Musi, he also called out the one who had been watching him for a long time. He also knew that it was planning to take the Hun Tian beads from him. But he also knew that it could save Musi, so he begged this thing to save Musi, and in return, it asked for the Hun Tian beads. He did not hesitate to give it, as long as it would save Musi. But it did not take the Hun Tian beads from him, and it told him that they would meet after 3 years. It did not mention the exact location because it was strictly forbidden, so it told Zion that he had to discover it on his own. Then it took Musi to heal her in its place. This is the end of the last episode of My Cultivator Girlfriend. I hope you like it and give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel so you won't miss new uploaded videos. Thank you for watching.